Wow. You know, I got so excited about that story yesterday. Hi, I'm Jim Sunderwirth from my swing here, and we're talking about four major things. We're talking about wisdom, favor, humility, and respect. Say that with me. Wisdom,
Wisdom,
favor,
favor,
humility,
humility,
and respect.
respect.
Out of that comes a lot of stuff, and we can just go forever. But we're going to wrap this up before too long. But we've got I'm so excited about sharing this. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you that story comes from when he talked about the ladies and the babies and his wisdom. That came from chapter 3. Where it says, then we also got the fact that he went to Jerusalem, so he went to the presence of God. God gave him the ability to live and move and have the wisdom of God because he went to his presence at the Ark of the Covenant. We could talk about that, but we will do that when we get into Exodus. But anyway, so then the ladies came to him, and that's found in the latter part. It's beginning at verse 16 of chapter 3, and you can read all the way through and read that story for yourself. A lot of times we used to know that story, but it's not told. It's not taught a lot nowadays. But the last of it says, and all of Israel heard of the judgment which the king had rendered, and they feared the king, and they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. Wow. It was in him to administer justice. Now, number one, he went to the presence of God. Number two, he had what he asked for, an understanding heart. He to listen, to be able to hear. And remember what we said yesterday in James 1:19. It says that first of all, we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Now, he could have got angry at those ladies he didn't have to deal with this. What was this all about? What difference did it make to him? It was just another baby, just another two ladies. But you know what? He had an understanding heart. He respected. He walked in humility as a king. And therefore wisdom came through him in such a way that the whole world, not only Jerusalem and Israel, but other people came, and we'll see about that later. So King Solomon was king over all of Israel. This is beginning at chapter 4. Now King Solomon was king over all of Israel, and there were his officials. Now listen, King Solomon could have said, I am so smart, I am so wise now, God is upon me, that I don't need anybody. Let me tell you something. When you are wise, listen to what happens. And there were his officials, Azariah, the son of Zadok the priest, Eliphorim, and I tell you what, these are big words, and you won't remember them anyway. But he wrapped himself around with 3 priests and one other priest, which was his best friend. And then he had 12 governors provided food and provided him wisdom. And he went through it. And if you read through all of chapter 4, the point is this. Even though I can't put their names together, but the point is he surrounded himself with very smart people in the expertise of their area, and his best friend was a priest. So what David did, he was wise enough to seek God, he was wise enough to have a hearing heart, and he was wise enough to surround himself with very smart people in the areas that they are smart, that he could glean from and grow from. So Solomon was he didn't just sit back and say, well, now I'm the king of wisdom. No, he wrapped himself around with people that had the facts of anything that he wanted to know, so he could listen to the facts and listen to the beauty of their intellect and the beauty of what they had developed within themselves to be expert at. And as he wrapped himself around, he didn't have to know everything. He had a lot of people that knew everything around him, and because he had a hearing heart, he could see the real purpose, he could see the real practical application of how it worked, he could speak to their heart, and he had these human computers all around him that he could just tap into. I think it was Henry Ford, that they called him a dummy. They said, how in the world could this guy, he doesn't know a lot, he's not that smart. And he said, well, come into my office. And so they went into his office, and he had a whole bunch of phones. And he said, I don't have to be smart. He said, you know what I do? He said, if I need to know something, I pick up a phone, and they tell me, and I can make my decision from those things. I'll never forget, somebody came to me one day and he said, I wish I knew something about computer. I said, I've got this problem. And I told him, I said, I know everything about computers. I can do a puke. What do you want to know? And he said, you know about computers? I know a lot. I know a lot. In fact, more than you realize how much I know. And they said, well, okay. And so they gave me this complex frustration of something, and I don't know what it was. Couldn't understand a word they said. But you know what I did? I picked up my phone and I called my beautiful wife, Diane, and I said, baby, here's the question. We need an answer. Because she and I are one. And I don't need to carry all that information around. I just ask her and she knows all the answers when it comes to that computer stuff. And you know what? It was so funny. But that's the way it is. You're not going to be able to carry it all, but you number one, you seek God. Number two, you have a hearing heart. And number three, you surround yourself with people that are very smart in the areas that God has blessed them in. And you can tap their wisdom, and you can tap their understanding, and you can tap their intellect, and it'll look like you're just brilliant. Hey, whew, I went way over today. Well, it was just fun. See you tomorrow. Bye.